They offered humanity mercy once and were rewarded with mythic glory. Stars looked different now, Captain. Dayan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and stared at the view. Screen, 12,000 alien warships floated in Earth's orbit. They had appeared 3 hours ago without warning. One moment the sky was clear, the next moment it was filled with massive ships that blocked out the stars. Dayan had been a spaceship captain for only 2 years. Humanity had just learned to travel faster than light. Earth had 47 military ships. They were small, they were weak. And now they faced an army that could destroy entire worlds. The communication screen blinked. A face appeared. It was not human. The creature had scales like a lizard and eyes that glowed yellow. Its teeth were sharp when it spoke. I am Overlord Quix of the Valor Dominion, the alien said. Its voice was cold and calm. We have conquered 400 worlds. We have ruled the galaxy for 800 years. You are new to the stars. You are weak. You are nothing. Day felt his hands grip the armrest of his chair next to him. Hana watched the screen with hard eyes. She was his weapons officer and his best friend. They had trained together at the academy. Behind them, young Yuno sat at the pilot station. The boy was barely 23 years old, but he could fly better than anyone Dehan had ever seen. We offer you mercy, Quix continued. Join the Dominion, serve us, work for us, give us your resources and your people. In return, we will let you live. You have 24 hours to decide. If you refuse, we will destroy your planet. Every human will die. Choose wisely. The screen went black. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Then Hana laughed. It was not a happy laugh. Mercy, she said. They call it mercy to become slaves. What do we do? Captain Yuno asked. His voice shook a little. He was scared. They were all scared. Dehan looked at his crew. 12 people on his ship. 12 people who had families on Earth. 12 people who might die in the next day. We vote, he said. Everyone gets a choice. I won't force anyone to fight. If you want to surrender, I understand. If you want to run, I understand. But I need to know what you want. One by one, his crew stood up. One by one, they voted. Every single person chose to fight, even young Yuno stood tall and said, I would rather die free than live on my knees. Hana smiled. It was a sad smile. The Valor think we are too weak to matter. Let's show them they are wrong. Dayan opened a communication channel to Earth. All the military ships were waiting for orders. The governments of Earth were arguing. Some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run away to the edge of the solar system and hide. But the military commanders were different. They were warriors. They had spent their lives training to protect humanity. Admiral Jiho appeared on the screen. He was an old soldier with scars on his face and steel in his eyes. Captain Dion, the admiral said, what is your decision? Dihan took a deep breath. Sir, my crew has voted. We reject the Valor mercy. We will not bow. We will not surrender. Tell Overlord Quix that humanity has heard his offer. And humanity says no. The admiral nodded slowly. Good. I was hoping you would say that. All ships prepare for battle. We are outmatched. We will probably die. But we will die as humans. We will die fighting. The next 12 hours passed too quickly. Engineers checked weapons. Pilots ran simulations. Soldiers said goodbye to their families. Day walked through his ship and talked to everyone. He wanted them to know he was proud of Hana was in the weapons room, working on the targeting system. "We can't win," she said quietly. "Their shields are too strong, our weapons barely scratch them." "I know," Dean said. "But maybe we can hurt them enough to make them remember us." "Maybe," Hana said. She looked at him. "Day, if we died today, I want you to know something. Being your friend has been the best part of my life. Flying among the stars with you has been worth everything." Dehan felt his throat tighten. "We are not dead yet, Hana, and humans are good at surviving impossible things." The 24 hours ended. The Valor sent one more message. Overlord Quicks appeared on every screen on every human ship. "Have you decided?" the alien asked. "Admiral Jiho responded for all humanity." His voice was loud and clear. "We have decided. The answer is no. We will not serve you. We will not fear you. Come and take our world if you can. But no, this humans do not surrender. We will fight you with everything we have. And if we die, we will make sure you remember our name forever." Quick stared at the screen for a moment. Then he laughed. It was a terrible sound. "You are fools. You choose death over life. So be it. Destroy them all." The battle began. The Valor ships moved forward like a wave of metal and fire. Human ships scattered in every direction. The indomitable dove toward Earth, firing every weapon. The blasts hit Valor shields and bounced away like rain on glass. Then the Valor fired back. First human ship exploded in 3 seconds. Then another, then 5 more. Communication channels filled with screams and static. Ships died faster than Day could count them. "Shields at 20%, someone shouted. "Evasive maneuvers," Tahan ordered. Yuno flew like a demon. He twisted the ship through space, dodging blast after blast, but there were too many enemies, too many weapons. A Valor cruiser locked onto them and fired. The blast hit their side. Ship shook, lights exploded, people fell. An alarm screamed, "Shields down." Hana shouted, "One more hit and we are dead." But Dehan was not watching the enemy ship. He was watching his screen. He was watching the data from every battle, and he saw something small, something that might mean nothing, or might mean everything. "Hana," he said, "their shields, watch their shields when they fire." Hana pulled up the data. Her eyes went wide. "There is a gap just for a moment, maybe 3/10 of a second. When they fire, their shields reset. Can we hit them in that gap?" Tihun asked. "Maybe, if our timing is perfect. If we are fast enough, then we shoot back. Right when they shoot us." It was insane. It was dangerous, but it was a chance. The Valor cruiser fired again. At the same moment, Hana fired everything the Indomitable had. The blast met in space. The Valor shot hit them and threw the ship sideways, but their shot went through the gap in the Valor shield. Alien cruiser exploded. For 1 second, every human on the bridge was silent. They had just killed a Valor warship. 1 ship out of 12,000, but it was something. It was proof that the Valor could bleed. All ships day in broadcast to the fleet, target their shields when they fire. There is a reset window. 3/10 of a second. Hit them then, but it was too late for most ships. In 12 minutes, humanity lost 23 vessels. Only 24 were left. The survivors ran. They scattered toward Mars, bleeding and broken. The Valor did not chase them. They did not need to. They had won the first battle easily. Humanity was beaten, but Dehan watched the retreating Valor fleet and smiled. It was a grim smile, a dangerous smile. They think. This is over, he said. They think we are finished, are we not? Yuno asked. The young pilot was shaking. No. Dayan said, we just learned how to hurt them, and humans are very good at learning. This war has just begun. Hana nodded. She was already working on new calculations, new strategies, new ways to kill the enemy. Behind them, Earth burned in a dozen places where Valor ships had bombarded cities. 4 billion people were dead, but 40 billion were still alive, and they were angry. The Valor had offered humanity mercy. Once, it was the biggest mistake they would ever make. 6 months passed like a nightmare that would not end. Earth rebuilt what it could. The dead were buried in mass graves. The survivors learned to live with fear. Admiral G stood in the command center deep under the Pacific Ocean. The room was filled with screens showing star maps and fleet positions. The Valor were coming back. Reconnaissance showed them gathering more ships. Soon they would return to finish what they started. Next to Jiho stood a woman with tired eyes and brilliant mind. Her name was Sora. She was a scientist who had been studying old stealth technology, technology that was meant for submarines and aircraft, technology that everyone said could never work in space. It works, Sora said. She pointed at a screen showing test results. I call it the Ghost Protocol. We can mask our ship's heat signatures. We can hide from their sensors, not perfectly, not for long, but long enough. Long enough for what? Jay asked. Long enough to get close, long enough to plant mines, long enough to kill them before they know we are there. Jiho looked at the data, then he looked at Sora. You are talking about guerrilla warfare, hit and run, ambushes, fighting dirty. Yes, Sora said. We cannot fight them in open battle. We tried that. We lost, but humans have always been good at fighting dirty. We survived on Earth by being clever, by setting traps, by attacking from the shadows. We can do the same thing in space. Geo smiled. It was not a nice smile. Then let us teach the Valor what happens when you hunt humans. The plan was simple and brutal. Human ships would spread across the solar system. They would hide in asteroid fields. They would wait near jump points where Valthar ships appeared, and when the enemy came close, humanity would strike fast and disappear. But they needed more than stealth. They needed weapons that could hurt the Valor. Hana had been working on that problem. She had studied the shield gap that day. He discovered she had run 1,000 simulations, and she had built something new. Nuclear mines, she said. At a meeting with all the captains, we plant them in the asteroid belt. Thousands of them hidden silent. When Valor ships pass by, the mines activate an attack. The Valor won't see them coming until it is too late. Another captain, a woman named Mina, spoke up. She had been a communications officer before the war. Now she was a captain. Because so many others had died, we also need to hit them where they don't expect it. Mina said. Their supply lines, their colonies. They think we will stay near Earth and defend it. Instead, we should attack them far away. Make them spread their forces. Make them afraid. That is suicide, someone said. Everything is suicide now, Mina answered. But if we are going to die anyway, let us make them pay for every human life they took. Dayan listened to all of this from his ship. Indomitable had been repaired, but it would never be the same. Neither would its crew. They had all lost friends. The first battle they had all seen Earthburn, Yungo had changed the most. The scared boy was gone. In his place was a pilot who flew with cold precision. He practiced maneuvers that should have been impossible. He pushed the ship to its limits and beyond. I want to hurt them, said one day. He said it quietly, but Dihan heard the rage in his voice. I want them to fear us the way they made us fear them. You will get your chance, Dihan promised. The chance came 3 months later. Intelligence discovered a Valor supply depot near Neptune. It was guarded by only 30 ships, but it contained fuel for 400 vessels. Antimatter fuel that powered their weapons and engines. Admiral Jiho called for volunteers. It was a one-way mission. The ships that went might not come back. Every captain volunteered. Jiho chose 10 ships. Dei and the Indomitable were among them. So was Mina and her crew. They used Sara's ghost protocol to sneak across the solar system. It took 2 weeks of flying, silent and dark, 2 weeks of holding their breath every time Valor sensors swept past them, but they made it. The supply depot was huge. It floated in the dark with 30 warships circling it like sharks. The human ship stopped at the edge of sensor range. We need a distraction, Dean said over the command channel, something to pull those guards away from the depot. I will do it, Yoon said. No, Dean started to say, but you. No, cut him off. Captain, I am the best pilot we have. Everyone knows it. If anyone can survive this, it is me. I will draw them away. The rest of you hit the depot. There was silence. Then Hana spoke. The boy is right. Let him fly. Dayan wanted to refuse. Yuno was young. Too young to die, but they were all too young to die, and this was war. Be careful, Dayan said. Careful is for people who want to live a long time. Yuno answered, I just want to live long enough to see them burn. Yuno's ship broke from the formation and accelerated toward the Valor guards. He flew straight at them with all weapons firing. It looked like a suicide attack. The Valor ships immediately gave chase. 20 of the 30 guards left the depot to hunt Yuno. He led them on a dance through Neptune's rings. He dodged, he twisted, he flew like a demon. The Valor could not catch him, but they were so focused on him that they did not see the other 9 human ships approaching the depot. The 9 ships hit the depot from 3 directions. They fired everything: missiles, rail guns, lasers, nuclear torpedoes. The depot's shields held for exactly 12 seconds, then they collapsed. The antimatter fuel ignited. The explosion was brighter than the sun. It vaporized the depot instantly. The shockwave caught 4 of the human ships and tore them apart, but 5 ships survived. Mina's ship survived. Hun's ship survived, and so did Yuno. The young pilot came racing back through the explosion, his ship damaged but flying. Behind him, the 20 Valor guards were caught in the blast. 15 of them exploded. The other 5 were crippled. Hana destroyed the 5 crippled ships with cold efficiency. All ships jump out now. Jiho's voice came over the comm. Before reinforcements arrived, the 5 surviving human ships activated their faster than light drives and vanished. Behind them, the Valor supply depot was gone. 400 ships worth of fuel was destroyed, and humanity had just proven something important. They could strike anywhere. They could disappear. They could hurt the Valor. The news spread across Earth within hours. People who had been hopeless began to hope. Soldiers who had been ready to give up found new strength. But the Valor were not happy. Overlord Quick sent a message to Earth. His face was twisted with rage. "You are insects," he said. "You are nothing. You hide in ambush. Because you are cowards, we offer you mercy one more time. Surrender now. We will spare 1 billion of you. The rest will die as punishment for your defiance. This is your last chance." The governments of Earth held an emergency meeting. Some wanted to accept, some wanted to negotiate. 1 billion people saved was better than everyone dying, they said, but the military had a different answer. Mina was chosen to give the response. She stood in front of a camera with the names of 4 billion dead humans projected on the wall behind her. Her voice was steady. Her eyes were hard. "You killed 4 billion of us in the first attack," she said. 4 billion people who never hurt you. 4 billion people who just wanted to live. You call yourselves merciful. You call us cowards, but we are still here. We are still fighting. And we will never ever surrender to you. She paused, then she said one word: no. The message was broadcast to every Valor ship. Quicks watched it and trembled with rage. "They refuse again," he said to his officers. "These humans refuse to know their place. Very well, send orders to all fleets. We will not offer mercy a third time. We will erase humanity from existence." But the Valor were starting to realize something that frightened them more than they would admit. Humans did not fight like other species. Other species fought for honor, for glory, for conquest. Humans fought for survival. They fought to protect their families, and they fought with a creativity that was terrifying. Over the next 3 months, human ships appeared and disappeared across dozens of star systems. They mined jump points. They booby-trapped abandoned stations. They attacked Valor colonies and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. The Valor called them the persistent plague, a disease that they could not cure, an enemy that would not die. Admiral Jiho read the intercepted Valor communications and smiled. "They are afraid," he said. "Not much, not yet. But they are starting to fear us." "Good. Fear is a weapon. Let us give them more reasons to be afraid." Dihun sat in his captain's chair and looked at his crew. They were tired. They were scared. They had lost friends, but they were still fighting. Hana was working on new weapons. Yuna was practicing impossible maneuvers. Even the engineers and cooks had become fighters. "How long can we keep this up?" someone asked. "As long as we have to," Dion answered. "The Valor have numbers. They have power, but we have something they do not have. We have nothing left to lose, and that makes us the most dangerous thing in the galaxy." On Earth, children were being taught to fight. Factories were building weapons. Day and night, scientists were creating new technologies. Everyone was focused on one goal: survival. The Valor had offered humanity mercy twice. Both times humanity had said no. There would not be a third offer. Now there would only be war. War until one side was destroyed. War until the stars themselves went dark, and humanity was learning to love the war. 18 months into the war, Earth was still alive, barely. 3 more major attacks had come. Each time, humanity had survived by the thinnest margin. Each time they had lost millions more people, but they were still fighting. Something had changed in humanity. The people who had once argued about peace and surrender were gone. In their place were warriors. Every human was a soldier now, even the children learned to shoot, even the elderly. Worked in factories building weapons. The valor had created an enemy they did not understand. They had forged humanity into something new, something terrible. Commander Hune led a special forces team that specialized in the most dangerous mission. He was a short man with scars, covering his arms in a cold smile that never reached his eyes before the war. He had been a Marine, now he was something else, something that the valor called a demon. His team had just returned from their 12th boarding boarding actions were insane. Small ship would match speed with a valor warship, then soldiers in combat. Suits would cut through the hull and fight their way inside. Most teams died. But Hun's team had survived every mission. They wore something called Reaper suits. An engineer named Tamman had designed them. The suits were powered armor that let humans survive in space and toxic atmospheres, in temperatures that would boil water or freeze blood. They had shields and weapons built into the arms. They turned ordinary humans into walking tanks. Valor are weak in close combat, Hun explained to new recruits. Their scales are tough, but their bones break easy. Their claws are sharp, but our armor is sharper. Get inside their ships. Get close to them and kill them before they can run. It was brutal work. It was bloody work, but it was effective. Yun's team had captured 7 valor ships. They had killed thousands of enemy soldiers, and they had learned the enemy's weaknesses. A scientist named Ara studied the valor bodies that Hun brought back. She was an exobiologist who had spent years studying alien life. Now she studied ways to kill it. They evolved on a low-gravity world. Ara explained at a briefing. She showed scans of valor biology on the screens. Their bones are less dense than ours. Their organs are more fragile. They can survive in 1 gravity, but barely anything higher, and their bodies start to fail. What does that mean for us? Admiral Jiho asked. It means our pilots can kill them just by flying, Ara said. She pulled up flight data from recent battles. When our ships make hard turns, we pull 4 or 5 G-forces. Humans pass out at 9 G-forces, but Valthar organs start to rupture at 6 G-forces. If we can force them into high acceleration combat, their own bodies will kill them. The revelation spread through the fleet like fire. Every pilot wanted to test this new knowledge. Yuno was the first to truly master it. He had survived dozens of battles now. He had killed 47 valor ships personally. The enemy knew his ship. They called him the Phantom because he appeared and disappeared like a ghost. In a battle near Mars, Yuno faced 5 Valkyr fighters. They surrounded him and fired from all directions. A normal pilot would have died in seconds, but Yuno did something impossible. He accelerated straight up at maximum thrust. Then he flipped the ship and dove straight down. Then he spun in a corkscrew pattern while firing every weapon. The G-forces were crushing. Yuno's vision went gray. Blood vessels burst in his eyes, but he stayed conscious. He stayed focused. The valor pilots were not as lucky. At 7 G-forces, their organs began to hemorrhage. At 8 G-forces, their bones cracked. They tried to escape, but their ships were too damaged. Yuno destroyed all 5 fighters in 90 seconds. When he landed, medical officers had to carry him from the cockpit. He was coughing blood. His body was covered in bruises from the acceleration, but he was smiling. Did you see that? He asked Hana. Did you see Them die. Hana looked at the young man, who had been a scared boy 18 months ago. Now he was a killer, a skilled killer. Killer who enjoyed his work a little too much, I saw, she said quietly, but you. No, be careful, do not let the hate consume you. The hate is all I have left. Yuno said, my family is dead, my friends are dead, the hate keeps me alive, the hate makes me strong. Hana could not argue with that. She felt the same way they all did. The war had turned humanity into monsters, but they were monsters who were winning, ship by ship, battle by battle. Humanity was pushing the valor back. The boarding actions gave them captured technology. The hygiene maneuvers gave them an advantage in dog fights. The guerrilla tactics kept the enemy off balance. But the cost was terrible. Entire colonies volunteered for suicide missions. Pilots flew ships until they literally fell apart. Soldiers fought until their ammunition ran out, then fought with knives, then fought with their bare hands. Mina sent regular broadcasts to the rest of humanity. She had become the voice of the war effort. Her messages were simple and brutal. The valor think we will break, she said in one broadcast. They think if they kill enough of us, we will surrender. They do not understand. Every human they kill creates 10 more who want revenge. Every city they burn makes us more determined. They wanted mercy. We gave them war, and we will not stop until they are destroyed. Her words echoed across Earth and the colonies. People who were exhausted found new strength. Soldiers who wanted to quit decided to fight one more day. The valor were beginning to understand their mistake. Reports came back from valor controlled systems. The Dominion was having trouble. Species that had been conquered for centuries were starting to rebel. They had heard about humanity. They had heard about the species that refused to surrender, and they were inspired. Overlord Quix was removed from command. He had failed to destroy humanity. He had wasted ships and resources. A new overlord took his place. His name was Ven, and he was known for his cruelty. Ven's first order was simple: kill all humans, no prisoners, no mercy, total extermination. He sent a message to his fleet commanders: the humans have made us look weak. They have damaged our reputation. This ends now. I am committing the entire Dominion Armada to the Sol system, 89,000 warships. We will turn Earth into dust. We will hunt down every human ship. We will erase them from history. The message was intercepted by human intelligence. When Admiral Jiho read it, he did not look worried. He looked thoughtful. 89,000 ships, he said. That is their entire military. Yes, Sora confirmed. If they send that many ships here, they will leave their empire undefended. And we have less than 1,000 ships to fight them with, someone said. But Day was looking at star maps. He was thinking about what Geo had taught him. Think like a human, fight dirty, use every advantage. We cannot beat them in direct combat, Dayan said, but maybe we do not need to. Maybe we just need to survive long enough for their empire to collapse. That could take years, Hana said. Then we survived for years, Dihan answered, but in his mind he knew the truth. They would not have years. The Valor were coming, and when they arrived, it would be the final battle. High-end Special Forces teams were sent on one last mission before the big battle. They boarded a Valor intelligence ship and stole everything they could: maps, fleet positions, communication codes. And one piece of information that changed everything: Overlord Ven would be leading the attack personally. His flagship would be in the center of the formation. If they could kill him, if they could destroy his flagship, the Valor fleet might fall into chaos. It was a slim chance, but it was a chance. Dehan volunteered to lead the attack on Ven's flagship. Admiral Jiho tried to stop him. "You are too valuable," Ji said. "We need good captains, and I need to do this," Dehan answered. "Ven needs to die. If I can kill him, the war might turn in our favor." Jiho looked at his best captain. He saw the determination in Dehan's eyes. He saw the same thing he saw in all humans now, the willingness to die for the cause. "Then do it," Jiho said. "Kill the bastard." Dei gathered his crew. Hana would come with him, so would Yuno, so would 24 volunteers who knew they might not come back. "This is it," Dei told them. "This is the battle that will decide everything. If we win, humanity survives. If we lose, we die. But either way, we die fighting. Either way, we make them remember us." His crew cheered. They were ready. The Valor Armada arrived at the edge of the solar system. 1 week later, 89,000 warships. Enough firepower to crack a planet. Enough soldiers to conquer 100 worlds. Against them stood 900 human ships, battered, damaged, but unbroken. The final battle was about to begin too. Overlord Ven looked at his screens and saw the pathetic human fleet. He laughed. "They still resist," he said. "They still fight. It does not matter. Today, humanity dies and the galaxy will forget they ever existed." But Ren did not know humans. He did not understand what happens when you back a predator into a corner. He did not know that humanity had spent 18 months preparing for this moment. He did not know that he was about to learn why you should never offer humans mercy, because humans do not want mercy. They want victory, and they will pay any price to achieve it. The final battle would not be fought with honor. It would not be a fair fight. Admiral Jai had made that clear from the beginning. "We have 900 ships against 89,000, he said at the command briefing. "If we fight them the normal way, we will all be dead in an hour, so we will not fight them the normal way." Next to him stood a young man who looked too young to be a general. His name was Hanbin, and he was only 26 years old. But he had a mind that worked like a machine. He could see patterns where others saw chaos. He could find solutions where others saw only death. Hanbin had been a student before the war. He had studied ancient military tactics. Now he was the chief strategist for humanity's last stand. "I have a plan," Hanbin said. He pulled up a star map. "I call it Operation Ragnarok. It is insane. It is dangerous, and it will cost us everything, but it might work." He zoomed in on Jupiter, the giant planet hung in space, peaceful and beautiful. "We are going to turn Jupiter into a weapon," Hanbin said. The room went silent. Someone laughed nervously. Then they realized Hanbin was serious. "How?" Admiral Jiho asked. "Jupiter is mostly hydrogen," Hanbin explained. "With enough energy, we can trigger fusion reactions in its atmosphere. Not everywhere, just in specific places. We have been positioning nuclear platforms in Jupiter's clouds for 3 weeks. 4,000 platforms, each one loaded with enough warheads to start a fusion chain reaction. You want to make Jupiter explode," Hana said. "Not exactly," Hanbin said. "I want to make it release a directed gamma ray burst." if we time it. Right, if we position the Valor fleet correctly, the radiation will vaporize most of their ships instantly, and if we get the timing wrong, someone asked, then Jupiter explodes anyway and we all die, Hanbin said calmly, but we are dead. Either way, this gives us a chance. Several officers stood up and walked out. They could not support a plan that would permanently damage the solar system, that would make Earth uninhabitable in the long term. Admiral Jiho watched them leave, then he looked at Hanbin. How long will Earth survive if we do this? Jupiter's gravitational pull helps stabilize Earth's orbit. Hanbin said, if we damage Jupiter enough, Earth's orbit will slowly destabilize. Maybe 1,000 years, maybe more, but eventually Earth will become uninhabitable. So we trade the future for survival. Today, Jiho said. Yes, Hanbin answered, but if we do not do this, there will be no future. The Valor will kill us all right now. Jiho thought about it for a long moment, then he nodded. And do it. Save humanity today. Let future humans worry about future problems. The plan was set in motion. It required perfect timing, perfect coordination, and a lot of luck. Dale was clear. He would lead the first wave of ships directly at the Valor Armada. His job was to get them angry, get them to chase, get them to move toward Jupiter. It was a suicide mission. Everyone knew it, but Day did not hesitate. On Mars, a woman named Nari was leading the civilian resistance. She was Hana's younger sister. When they Valor had attacked Mars during an earlier battle, they had occupied 3 cities. Nari had stayed behind to fight them. For 6 months she had led guerrilla attacks against the occupiers. She had killed Valor soldiers with homemade bombs. She had freed prisoners from labor camps. She had become a legend among the Martian colonists. Now she sent a message to her sister, Hana. I heard about the final battle. I heard what you are planning. I want you to know I am proud of you. I am proud to be human. If we die today, we die free. That is all that matters. Hana read the message with tears in her eyes. She sent a reply. Stay alive, little sister. Someone needs to tell our story when this is over. The Valor fleet advanced slowly. They were confident. They had numbers. They had power. They expected humanity to run or hide. Instead, humanity attacked. Dayan led 900 ships in a direct charge. At 89,000, it looked like madness. It looked like suicide. The Valor laughed and prepared to annihilate them. Come, Overlord Ven said on his flagship. Come and die. Let us end this pathetic resistance. The human fleet charged forward, all weapons firing. The Valor shields absorbed the hits easily. They began to return fire. Then something strange happened. The human ships scattered. They broke formation and flew in every direction. Some headed toward Mars, some toward the asteroid belt, but most flew toward Jupiter. They are running, a Valor officer said. No, Bren said slowly. They are leading us somewhere. Do not follow them. But it was too late. The Valor fleet had already started moving. Thousands of ships were chasing the humans. The fleet was spreading out, moving deeper into the solar system, moving toward Jupiter. Dehan's ship took hit after hit. Shields failed, hull plates melted, people died at their stations, but he kept flying. He had to reach the right position. He had to lead the Valor fleet exactly where Hanbin needed them. How much longer? He shouted. 30 seconds, Hana shouted back. She was bleeding from a Head wound, half the bridge crew was dead, but she was still working, still fighting. Yuno was flying like a demon. He dodged blast after blast. His ship was falling apart around him, but he kept it in the air through sheer skill and willpower. 20 seconds, the Valor fleet was exactly where Hambin needed them. 67,000 ships were between Jupiter and the human forces. The rest were scattered across the solar system. 10 seconds, Overlord Ven finally understood. He saw Jupiter ahead. He saw the human ship spreading out in a pattern that seemed almost like a trap. Pull back, he shouted. It is a trap. Pull back now. 5 seconds, but the Valor fleet was too big, too spread out. They could not turn around fast enough now. Admiral Jiho ordered 4,000 nuclear platforms in Jupiter's atmosphere. Detonated simultaneously. The explosions triggered fusion reactions in the hydrogen clouds. The reaction spread and multiplied. In 3 seconds, a quarter of Jupiter's atmosphere was undergoing nuclear fusion. The energy release was beyond comprehension. A directed gamma-ray burst shot out from Jupiter like the finger of an angry god. 67,000 Valor ships were in its path. They vaporized, not exploded, not destroyed. Vaporized, turned into atomic particles. In less than a second, the ships on the edges of the blast were luckier. They only had time to scream before the radiation cooked them alive. Overlord Ven's flagship was caught in the outer edge of the burst. The shields failed. Instantly, the hull began to melt. Friend tried to give orders, but his communications were dead. His engines were dead. His ship was dead. He watched through the viewport as his entire armada disappeared in a wall of fire. Then he died too. Of the 89,000 Valor ships that had entered the Sol system, 67,000 were gone in an instant. The remaining 22,000 were scattered, disorganized and terrified. The human fleet regrouped. They had lost 300 ships. In the initial charge, 600 remained. Admiral Jiho gave the order, all ships attack, show no mercy, kill them all. The human ships fell upon the surviving Valor like wolves on wounded prey. This time humanity had the advantage. The Valor were panicking. Their command structure was destroyed. Their overlord was dead. Yuno killed 12 more ships that day. Hun's boarding teams captured 5 cruisers. Mina's ship led a squadron that destroyed an entire Valor formation. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Valor fleet was annihilated. A few ships escaped by jumping to faster than light speed, but most died. Humanity had won, but the cost was terrible. Jupiter was changed forever. A massive storm covered half the planet, glowing with residual radiation. The gravitational balance of the solar system had shifted. Scientists calculated that Earth's orbit would slowly decay over the next 1,000 years. Humanity had saved itself, but it had killed its home to do so. Hun's ship limped back to Earth. Only 7 of his original crew were still alive. Hana had lost an arm in the battle. Yuno was in medical care, his body broken from the extreme G-forces, but they were alive. Admiral Jiho addressed what remained of humanity. Billions had died in the war. Entire cities were ruins. The solar system was scarred forever. We won, Jiho said. His voice was tired. We survived, but we paid a price that can never be repaid. Earth is dying slowly, but dying. In 1,000 years our descendants will need to leave. We have Won the war, but we have lost our home. He paused, then he said something that no one expected, but maybe that is for the best. Maybe Earth was always too small for us. Maybe we were meant to go to the stars. The valor tried to make us servants. Instead, they forced us to become something greater, something stronger, something that can survive anything. People listened in silence. They were exhausted, they were traumatized, but they were still alive. Dayan sat in the medical bay with Hana. She was getting fitted for a prosthetic arm. She looked at him and smiled. We did it, she said. We actually did it. Yes, Dion said, but at what cost? Every cost, Hana answered. We paid every cost. But we are still here, and they are not. In the wreckage of the battle, salvage teams found something interesting. Overlord Ven had survived the initial gamma burst. His escape pod had been recovered by a human ship. He was badly burned but alive. They brought him to Earth. They brought him to Admiral Jiho. Ven looked at the humans who had defeated him. He looked at their scarred faces, their missing limbs, their hard eyes. 3 years passed. Earth healed slowly. Cities were rebuilt. The dead were mourned. Life continued, but everything was different now. A man named Kong worked in the Grand Library of New Seoul. He was a historian. Before the war, he had studied ancient civilizations. Now, he studied humanity's war with the valor. He interviewed survivors. He collected battle reports. He preserved recordings of the fighting. He wanted to make sure that future generations would know what happened, would know what humanity had paid for its survival. We must never forget, Kyle Yuang said to his students, we must never forget the price of freedom. One of his most important projects was documenting Overlord Ren's testimony. The Valor Commander had kept his word. He had written everything down: the Dominion's history, their conquests, their perspective on the war with humanity. Kyle reads writings with fascination. The alien's words painted a picture of humanity that was both terrifying and inspiring. In 800 years, Van had written, the Dominion conquered 400 species. Every time we offered mercy, every time they accepted, they became part of our empire. They served us, they lived. Humanity was different. We offered them mercy. They refused. We could not understand why. To us, survival is the highest virtue. Why choose death over life? Why choose war over peace? Now I understand. Humans do not value survival above all else. They value freedom. They value choice. They would rather die free than live as slaves. This makes them dangerous. This makes them unstoppable. Kung shared these writings with the galaxy. By now, faster than light communication had been established with hundreds of alien civilizations. Most of them had been part of the Dominion. Most of them had rebelled after humanity destroyed the Valor fleet. The galaxy was in chaos, but it was free chaos, better than ordered slavery. A woman named Jaisu became humanity's first ambassador to the new Galactic Council. The council was formed by the liberated species. They wanted to create something better than the Dominion, something based on cooperation. Instead of conquest, Jaisu stood before the council in its first meeting. Representatives from 200 species watched her, some with gratitude, some with fear, some with curiosity. My name is Jizu, she said. I speak for humanity. We did not ask for war. We did not seek conflict. But when the Valor came to our world and demanded our submission, We had only one answer. No, she paused and looked at the assembled aliens. Some of you accepted the Dominion's mercy. You survived, you lived. We do not judge you for that choice. Survival is not shameful, but we could not make that choice. We are human and humans do not. Bo, a representative from the Celt Union, spoke up. She was an insect-like creature with 4 arms and compound eyes. You destroyed your own planet to win the war, the Keltons said. You sacrificed your future. Was it worth it? Jizu smiled. It was a sad smile. Earth is dying slowly. In 1,000 years it will be uninhabitable. We knew this when we made the decision, and yes, it was worth it, because if we had surrendered, we would have been slaves forever. Now we are free, and in 1,000 years we will find a new home. You are insane, another representative said. He was from a species called the Drill. They had been part of the Dominion for 500 years, perhaps. Jizu agreed. But we are free, insane people, not slaves. The council debated for hours. Some species wanted to quarantine humanity. They feared what humans might do if they felt threatened again. Others wanted to ally with humanity. They saw the value in having such fierce warriors as friends. In the end, the council made a decision. Humanity would be welcomed as an independent species. They would be offered membership in the council, but there would be one condition. Council's leader, a dignified being named Teeler, announced the decision. Humanity has proven its strength. Tekler said, you have shown that you cannot be conquered, but strength without wisdom is dangerous. We ask that you share your history with us. Teach us how you survived, and in return we will teach you about the galaxy, about diplomacy, about peace. Jaisu considered this, then she nodded. We accept, but understand this. We will teach you how to be strong, how to resist tyranny, how to fight for freedom, because the galaxy needs to know these lessons. The next empire that tries to conquer the weak must find only strength, only resistance, only people who refuse to surrender. The council agreed. Over the next decade, humanity spread across the stars. They established colonies on dozens of worlds. They shared their technology with other species. They taught military tactics to those who had forgotten how to fight, but they also learned. They learned diplomacy from the Kelton. They learned science from the Vex. They learned art from the Nalier. Humanity became part of the galactic community. But they never forgot who they were. They never forgot the war. Dayan lived to see these changes. He retired from the military and became a teacher. He taught young pilots how to fly, how to fight, how to survive. One day a student asked him, Admir, Dayan, do you regret the war? Do you wish we had accepted the Valters? Mercy. Day thought about it for a long moment. He thought about the billions who had died, the planet they had sacrificed, the innocence they had lost. I regret the deaths, he said finally. I regret the pain. I regret that we had to become monsters to survive, but I do not regret fighting, because the alternative was to stop being human. And that was never an option. Hana became the head of weapons development for the Galactic Defense Initiative. The initiative was formed to prevent another Dominion from rising. It was a volunteer military force made up of species from across the galaxy, but everyone knew that humanity was its backbone. Humans had learned to fight like no other species. They had learned to win against Impossible odds, Yuno became something of a legend. He was known across the galaxy as the Phantom, the pilot who had killed 63 Valor ships, the human who flew like a demon. He settled down. Eventually he married, he had children. But he never stopped flying. Once a week he would take his ship into space and practice the old maneuvers, the impossible turns, the hygiene accelerations that would kill most species. He did it to remember, to never forget what they had fought for. Overlord Ven lived for 15 more years on Earth. He became an unlikely friend to humanity. He helped them understand the galaxy. He warned them about threats. And he wrote his book was called The Mercy Myth, How Humanity Ended an Empire. It became the most widely read document in galactic history. Every species studied it, every species learned from it. The book's conclusion was simple and powerful. The Dominion fell because we made one mistake. Friend wrote, we offered mercy to a species that did not want it. We assumed that survival was every species' highest goal. But humans are different. They value freedom more than life. They value choice more than safety. They would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. We should have destroyed them immediately. We should have recognized the threat, but we offered mercy, and in that moment of kindness, we sealed our own doom. Now the galaxy knows, now every species understands. If you encounter humanity, do not threaten them, do not try to conquer them. Because they will fight, they will adapt, they will endure, and they will win no matter the cost. The Dominion offered humanity mercy. Once, in return, humanity gave us oblivion, and they earned something we could never give them. They earned glory, mythic glory that will outlive the stars themselves. When Kong finished compiling all the histories, he created a memorial on Earth. It was built on the ruins of old Tokyo, a massive wall with the names of every human who had died in the war. 4,200,700,000 names. At the base of the memorial was a plaque. It read, they offered us mercy. We chose glory. Day attended the dedication ceremony. He was old now. Gray hair, tired eyes, but he stood straight and proud. Jaisu gave a speech to the crowd of millions. We gather today to remember, she said, to remember those who died, to remember the choice they made, to remember that humanity, when faced with extinction, chose to fight. The valor offered us mercy. They thought we would be grateful. They thought we would accept slavery in exchange for survival. They were wrong. We fought, we suffered, we sacrificed our planet and our future. But we remained free, and that freedom is worth everything we paid. Let this memorial stand forever. Let it remind future generations that humanity bows to no one. Let it remind the galaxy that we are not a species that accepts mercy. We are a species that earns glory. The crowd cheered. It was a bittersweet sound, celebration mixed with grief, pride mixed with pain. That night Dean sat with his old crew. Hana was there, her prosthetic arm working perfectly. Yuno was there with his family. Mina was there, still broadcasting messages to the galaxy. They shared stories. They remembered friends who had not survived. They laughed and cried and drank too much. Do you think we did the right thing? Yao asked. He was older now, calmer, but his eyes still held the fire of a warrior. We did the only thing we could do, Hana answered. We stayed human. That is all that matters. The Galaxy fears us, Mina said. I hear it. In their communications, they respect us, but they fear us too. Good. Dehan said, let them fear us. Fear prevents wars, fear keeps the peace. As long as the galaxy knows what happens when you threaten humanity, we will be safe.